I got really sick with autoimmune disease and I lost my vision. I lost my ability to walk. My hearing was damaged. I also had a newborn at home. So I was waffling everything and being unemployed. And now I had to apply for a job with checking that little disability box because I require reasonable accommodation with a vision impairment and some other things. So I was sending out resumes left and right and everywhere. I mean, for everything too. Even as a bridal consultant, helping brides try on wedding gowns with my 2 marketing degrees, which is fine. A job was still really important to me in feeding my growing family, and nobody ever called me back. Nobody. I mean, probably 200 resumes for things that I was either way underqualified for, overqualified for, completely fit the bill. And I got frustrated. So I went to LinkedIn and I started creating content about what it's like to live with chronic illness and a disability in a world that's built for the healthy human. And the amount of support there, it was kind of more of a, not necessarily a journaling thing or a therapy thing at first. It was really to find other people that understood, as well as voice this problem that we have in our society that we're ignoring. We're ignoring the need to provide reasonable accommodation and accessibility for people because everybody works. Everybody's differently abled. Everybody works at a different capacity, a different ability level, et cetera. So it was beautiful to see that, unlike Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, where the trolls just come out of the woodwork and like pick on you for everything, LinkedIn was super supportive. Everybody was extremely encouraging. They appreciated the vulnerable topic, and my career just started to launch. People saw me, they were finding me, they could see that I had the capabilities. So even though that may not be the traditional sense, I work around it in a different way. And my career started to just, it's a dream. I'm, like I told you before, I mean, I'm living the dream right now, and I could never imagine that this would be possible, especially having to deal with disabilities on a regular basis. So I should also mention that I started, what really propelled it was video content. And I hated video content because the thing about multiple sclerosis is that you probably don't notice it today, but I have extreme lag, extreme brain fog, and I stutter and stammer on the bad days. And people would call me dumb and say to edit out those sound bites so that I was more professional and polished. But that wasn't me. I'm the person that shows up on the video. So it's kind of this balance of being able to accept the criticism and just kind of acknowledge it and send it goodbye and work towards my goal, which then would be generating business and opportunities. So that's how it all started, and I'm never looking back.
So about 3-ish years ago, the company I was working at failed, and I would be unemployed for about 6 months before I landed my next job, which I absolutely adored. In the beginning, it's like, oh man, that really sucks. I feel awful, and it's a lot of negative emotions. After a little bit, for me, it was like, you know what? This is kind of awesome. And like, I'm just going to relax for a little bit and really enjoy myself. And I actually went and visited Corey in South America, and we had a very nice time. And then you come back and you're like, you know what? I can do this. I'm employable. I'm a rock star. I got this. And then bit by bit, it begins to wear on you a little bit. And I got tired, and I was like, well, I missed a bunch of interviews, and I was like, well, can I really do this? Like, do I really have it? And at that stage, when you're 4 or 5 months into it and you're like, you're just tired, as chipper as you might be, you're a little bit tired, it can get tough. Now, what I want to understand, Chantel, is at this point, you're saying, and what you did is start posting, start talking about that a lot, start talking about yourself a lot, and find affirmation in other environments and other places. And that's how you get out of that mental rut. And that's also how you get out of that sort of unemployment period and put yourself out there in front of hiring managers, recruiters, whatever. For people who are at that stage, how should they start thinking about even the reason to post videos or communicate on LinkedIn instead of just kind of watching what other people are doing?
So there was a lot in what you just said, and I don't even know where to begin.
I just had to spill my heart out to you all at once.
I love it. I feel like I need to reciprocate. Okay, so how to get started. What's your niche? What are you trying to focus in on? What's your dream job? Is it a CMO career? What does that look like to you? Running your own business into seven digits on an expanding team? What is that? I want you to follow influencers that are already there so you can learn from what they're doing and growing. They have so much content that's already out there that you can learn and share something similar in your own voice, your own stories. But the biggest thing that I always warn folks of is that LinkedIn or any social media platform, if you want to reach your goals, it can't be a soapbox. It cannot be a bitch box. It can't be a place where you go and air your dirty laundry. So, what I suggest, even on my hard days when I'm sharing an issue, I always provide a solution and then ask for other solutions because people want to be solution based. They want to grow with you and learn from you, not just be there to support you 100% all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's put your own unique perspective on it. What is something that you've learned or you know or you can offer to people and then build upon that, right?
Exactly. Yes, people love to support you. People love to feel needed and have their voice heard as well. But it's usually in that more constructive arena versus an area where you are just sharing problems after problems.
So let's talk about niche and getting started on LinkedIn video uh, from this perspective. So I'm looking at the people out here, and I'm seeing people who have had 30 years of experience in retail, people who have been heads of diversity and inclusion recruitment, people who have been executive assistants at really fast growing companies, people who have taught English in countries around the world. A lot of very specific skills in this group. How do they start taking this world of knowledge that they have and thinking about what they're going to post next, what they're going to do next, how they're going to actually share this and leverage that?
Oh, by sharing your story. I mean, as soon as you reflect in on how you got to where you are today and where your passion is with your career and where you want to be, that's what people want to learn. They want to know more about you so that they can connect with you on a deeper level than what we see on Facebook and on your photos on Instagram. When you're on LinkedIn, you can share about your struggles and how you got out of those struggles so other people going through it can, one, feel less alone, two, connect with you to learn more about you, and three, grow and better themselves as well. That's why LinkedIn has continued to grow exponentially over the last few years since Microsoft purchased it. It's just been super transformational. You see a lot of people sharing motivational things. It's easy to unfollow when you don't want to see the same stuff over and over again. Yeah, does that answer your question? I feel like there's so many different opportunities to do so.
You talk about being kind of batching and doing bite-sized content. I was watching a lot of
Ugh.
your videos, and you do 2-minute videos almost exclusively, like you're right in that range. And it does look like you're wearing the same shirt in a couple of them. So it does look like you have an idea, and then you go for it and you cut that up. What's your process like for creating and scheduling the content you're going to put out in a week?
So the most important thing is to know who you are. So finding your personal brand and building your personal brand. This is a hot topic today because the world is extremely saturated. And the more you are on LinkedIn, you will see that LinkedIn is even becoming more and more saturated. There's a lot of people who sound the exact same and the message grows dull and it loses its magic. And that's what is very important for you to understand. What's your voice? How do you want people to remember your voice when they think of your name or they see your picture? How do you want people to feel? What are the values that you have in your heart that connect you to your lead job or your potential leads that you want to generate? Because you can say no to leads. It's easy to do that if it's not a good fit and they make you uncomfortable. So, by building your brand, that's your foundation for all of the content that you're going to be building. So, that said, my pillars are marketing magic. I use the word magic all the time because it instills that childlike curiosity and wonder in me, which should make everybody fall in love with the creative side of marketing, but that's a whole nother story. And then the disability side and inclusion and having these conversations around all of it. One of the things I suggest that everybody does to get started, can I share my screen so I can show you a content web?
Go for it. Absolutely. You should have access to do that.
Okay. Never mind. I don't have it on this slide deck. Shoot. I just bit the bullet there.
Maybe send it out to us after and I'll share it with everyone.
Absolutely. Okay. So start with your core topic. What is your core topic? Maybe that's your job title. Maybe that's your dream job. And then what pillars of content spiral off of that? So, for example, a luxury photographer, right? If that was their core topic, their subtopics could be color psychology in photography, the power of a first impression, and those things could lead off to psychology for strength and power and attraction. Also, topics. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of this off the top of my head now. The power of a smile or posture, body language that sells in these photographies. So as you will see, the topics will continue to feed into more and more topics until you have so much brainstormed content that'll last you forever. Webbing it out, it's called a content web. So you just start there and you keep spreading it, and you will never run dry on content ideas.
So I want to pick on Doug, do you mind if I pick on you for a moment? Because I know you're usually game. So
go for it. I'm good. Yep.
Doug, you worked, let me know if I got the bio wrong, but you worked in retail for almost 30 years, right? You've been an operations expert in retail in multiple states at multiple levels. If Doug, with his retail experience, is now thinking about his content pillars that fall under his title of retail operating manager, what are some pillars that might fall under there for Doug?
I mean, if you looked at a resume that maybe your resume, and you have your core skill sets in there, understanding customers, right? Maybe customer engagement is a big piece of that puzzle. You can talk about the benefits of communication, three must-haves when making eye contact with somebody. You can talk about the difference of culture and communication. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's so many different subtopics you can choose for just one. Operations is a huge one because there's endless things there: processes, procedures, people, so many things that feed into operations. I mean, if you ever run stale on ideas, let me know. I'm happy to help.
I think one of the challenges is not necessarily running out of ideas, but maybe figuring out your voice in terms of how you present it. So do you have any tricks that you would say for creating your video presentation that distinguishes you from others?
Yes. So it's like a lot of a lot of detail here. Let me share this with you.
And we'll send the slide deck out to everybody afterwards as well, so you guys can access it.
Yes. Let's share this slideshow from current slide. So this is my content recipe. Can you see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so a strong piece of content has a hook. You have 3 seconds to engage an audience member to stop scrolling and hang out with you for a few minutes. That means maybe starting with something controversial, maybe starting with an interesting question, maybe a big aesthetically pleasing intro. I'm not too sure. It could differ depending on your brand, but that hook is very critical. Those 3 seconds are important. Then you want to have those supporting points. So there's 3 different things that you can sprinkle in that people look for in a strong piece of content. That's either humor, a laugh, an emotional connection or inspiration or motivation is very trendy, or statistics for the academics in the field here. So you can play that, whichever one you speak to and your personal brand relates with most. That's something that, I mean, Tacosaurus Rex, that's humor, right? So you can play with a lot of these in the same piece. And then always ask a question. That question encourages engagement, which will then have your content in front of a lot more people. So that question would be, any question. What's your favorite book, or what's your favorite book on productivity, or something along those lines? Because then it gets people dropping things into the comments and having interesting conversations, and that will continue to increase your reach. And in fact, engagement is the most important thing about a content strategy. It's not the content itself. And then a call to action is something that a lot of people miss. Even professional marketers miss it because you get so caught up in understanding, okay, we want to generate leads, but what does that look like? What kind of leads? From where? And what are their backgrounds? So the call to action is, what do you want? What's your end goal with this content strategy? Is it to land a job? Then you want to make sure that you say, reach out to me for my resume. I'd love to send it to you. Or I have the fun resumes are a big thing right now. Like you can create a 6-pack of beer with your resume on it and ship it out to somebody. So you need their mailing address. You could brag about your cool resume tricks and share it and say, I'd love to send this out to you. Just give me your email address or your mailing address, and I'll get it out the door. So that's just a basic high level intro of a content recipe that drives results. And those results meaning reach, interest, and something that resonates.
So let me ask about reach, interest, and something that resonates. And this is kind of what Mary asked in the comments. And I had the same exact question. Mary's question was, is there anything that you've tried that flopped or didn't work as planned? And my question is the same, Chantel. Starting out on LinkedIn, you have a plan, you make a plan, you say, hey, this is going to be the day I'm going to put out my video. I've never done this before. I'm going to think through it. I'm going to have a call to action. I'm going to have a great hook, da 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 da. And then you get 4 likes and 2 comments, and you're like, well, a bit of a bummer. Should I do that again? Like, what is that? What was that like for you early on? Because obviously that's where everybody starts, is 4 likes and 2 comments, both of them being from you. And then what do you recommend people do when they get that? Because I get that all the time. I posted a video yesterday and it was almost crickets. Like, I'm sure people here who haven't posted videos before, the first ones are going to be tough. What's the advice there?
Well, those 4 likes or engagements and those 2 comments are still for real people and real people that connect with your message or did connect with your message. So please don't get caught up on the numbers. If you do, you will see it reflect in your content that you share, and you'll lose the quality that you were looking for the whole time. So don't get caught up on the numbers game. To answer your question, a lot has flopped in terms of me putting my all into these content strategies, especially being an advocate for different communities. Things can get a little controversial to the point where it doesn't feel comfortable anymore. And I will take things down and remove them. Even sharing stories that I didn't feel comfortable with sharing, I remove them. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Somebody can educate you on something new. It's a beautiful thing, as long as you're coming from a good place. So no matter what, I think the biggest risk you can take is not doing anything. When I got started, I was encouraged by a super user on the platform. Her name is Michaela Alexis, if that rings a bell to anybody here. She's a super creator, and she shared her story about going from penniless to president of a marketing agency. And she said, you need to get on video. Video's brand new. Nobody's using it. It has a great reach and a way of building trust with strangers that no other form of content has. And my first video was me holding my service dog, saying, introducing myself. Hi, I'm Chantel Sumis, and I'm new to the platform, and I'm going to be talking about this, and this. It was something to break the ice, rip the Band-Aid off, and get comfortable with a very uncomfortable thing like making videos.
Let's talk a little bit about this specifically for the job search. If I'm looking for work, I'm making videos, sure, to build an audience and to do interesting things and put my thoughts out there and engage with other people. But let's be real, I'm doing this to get a job. How do you recommend, and how do you do this for your business, but also how do you recommend job seekers cultivate the right audience, make sure the right people see it, leverage these videos to get in front of hiring managers at the right companies? Build a connection for me between, all right, I'm posting videos about my pillars and made a chart and whatever Chantel said, and how am I going to use that to get a job?
I mean, there's so many different ways you can use it to build your community there with the right connections. Local recruiters, do you know the area that you would like to work in? If you do, reach out to and connect with all of the recruiters in the area and your special industry, different people who hold your dream job right now, so that you can see who they have in their community as well. You want to position yourself as an industry thought leader and influencer, because that's is what is going to keep generating that traffic and interest in you as a professional. So again, understand, what is that dream job? What are the skills and traits that you need to have mastered to land that job and be considered as the ultimate resource for it, the best fit to fill those shoes, and start creating content about it. Share data, share studies, share statistics. That's what people want, is that, especially in the job market, they want those quantitative pieces, not necessarily the qualitative. So anything with numbers or sharing results that you've experienced in the past, and the many things that you have been a part of to be part of the bigger picture of a corporation or company. That's what people want to see, especially people who are looking to fulfill their teams. Again, that's so many jobs are not published publicly, right? So it's important for you to be the squeaky wheel that gets the grease.
Yeah. Folks, let me pause here real quick and see. We're got about 5 or 7 or so minutes left here. But let me pause here and see if any of y'all have any questions. I've obviously got about 1,000 more, most of them about myself and how I grow pretty hair out. But we had talked about that earlier, so maybe I'll leave the hair for another time. Anyone have any questions that they want to ask about your own strategies, about LinkedIn in any capacity? You can drop them in the chat or raise your hand. If not, or just as you guys let that percolate, let me ask my next one. What kind of tools do you recommend people use to do this as simply as possible? One of the people I follow a lot, his name is Tim Ferriss. He's a big podcaster. And one of his things is, A, everybody should start a podcast because it's the best way to talk to people who would never talk to you otherwise. But B, make something as easy as possible for yourself. And what that means in his capacity is do long form content, don't edit, just have a conversation. Don't do anything fancy. Just put it out there. On LinkedIn, video can get fancy. And I know you have some videos with a lot of editing, with intros, with outros, with a lot of cool, magical witch, sorceress things. And then you've got some videos which are just you talking into camera with some subtitles. What are some of the basics? What's like video 101, either tools or ways to structure the video that people should use if they're just getting started?
Well, you must have subtitles, not just for inclusion purposes and accessibility, but because 85% of video consumed on LinkedIn is consumed without sound. So if you have a video there and you don't include the words, people are not going to know what you're talking about. And the chances of them actually clicking to understand more and read the full message are very, very slim. So include subtitles. There's a lot of tools you can use to get subtitles. Uploading your video straight to YouTube. Depending on how long this is the free hack that I use to save money and time. You upload your video to your YouTube panel, and within an hour, you can generate their automatically transcribed captions and edit them. You know, they usually spell names wrong, and I have a very Midwestern accent, which is very irritating to be able to transcribe from time to time. So there is some editing that is required there. Definitely review those captions before you ever use them, because I had an F-bomb slip in and I did not say the F-bomb. It just got chopped right in there. And I didn't know until 15,000 views had already gone through. And one individual said, I don't know if you know this, but you got to fix those captions. And ever
You're
since.
just super passionate about LinkedIn video. Super freaking passionate.
I don't know. But there's a lot of other really great tools to use that are low cost, like ClipScribe. Are you familiar with that one?
No, that's CLIP Scribe.
Yeah.
I'll drop it in the chat.
ClipScribe. That one is very cost effective. I think it's like $12 a month, and it gives you the letter blocking, like the headline up top, captions on the bottom, your beautiful face in the center, with your video. Very cost effective, very professional, and easy to use. Also, Canva is a free tool that a lot of people use because it helps you create stunning imagery, documents. If you are creating content on LinkedIn to level up your career, it's important to touch all of the content formats. So that's articles, documents, images, text only, Video polls is a very good one, and LinkedIn Live if you can access that.
So that's a lot of stuff
I
all at once,
know.
right? It's a lot of stuff. Let's talk.
Play with it. Just play with it. Have fun
So
with it.
play with it. I love, and I want to build off that and ask about goals. I was reading your like 20 tips for 2020, and one of them, a great article which you guys should look up on Chantel's LinkedIn, or I'll send it out to you guys. But one of them was have goals, because without goals, you don't know if you're doing a good job or a bad job. Talk about goals and goal setting, and how, again, should folks starting out think about what their goals are. You just said try polls, try editing, try subtitles, try headers, try written word, try articles, try comments. It's a lot of things, but how would you, that's where you are right now because you do this professionally, but how would you say somebody should get started? What are the kind of the first key goals for the first 3 weeks of playing around with this?
Exactly. If without goals, you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. So
And it never
for
does.
whatever goal works for you, I think that it will direct you in the right way with your content strategy. It's stupid to have a strategy if you can't measure it to see if it's effective, in my opinion. I mean, if you want to have a hobby, cool. You could go ahead and do it the other way. But that can be connecting with people. Maybe every time you post a video, you want to generate 100 follows, or well, that's kind of aggressive. But something along the lines of where you're at in your growth strategy. So follows, connections, just calls, like virtual coffees are very powerful because you never know what kind of collaboration or introduction can happen from those calls. But there's a lot of different kinds of goals that you can set up and control with your in alignment with your content strategy.
Yeah. And if you're looking for more ideas, you mentioned virtual coffees, networking. Obviously, networking is a huge part of job search, and it's just a huge part of career growth and all that. You can find ideas out of these networking conversations. If you guys look through some of my past videos, a lot of them are, oh, hey, I talked to this person today and I learned this thing and it was really inspirational. And I hope that you guys have a great day. And a lot of my things are pulled from the conversations with actually many of you folks who I have met. And for those who I haven't met, we should definitely talk. And I love hearing your stories. Chantel, one final question for you. Unless, let me pause again. Anybody have a question that they want to get in? Michael, I'm not sure if you might have been saying something earlier or not. No? No, it's a no. Anyone else? I want to give you a chance to ask Chantel a question directly. This could be about your own LinkedIn thoughts, something you did, something you want to trick her on and see if she messed up on before. But if not, we'll have another moment for that. And Chantel, my final question for you, as you look at where you've come from in just 3 years or so, right? You started doing this in 2017, you said. That's all right, Michael. You started doing this in 2017 when video was really new. Right now, I mean, you'll drop a post and it'll just because it's you basically get hundreds and hundreds of likes and comments and engagements, and you'll get clients from each one of them, and your goals are 100 new followers and all that kind of stuff. What would you tell your 2017 self if you were giving her advice back when she was doing her first postings, and back when she was going through this internal drama of, man, like nobody's going to hire somebody who's disabled, or this is really challenging or whatever? And then Tanya will definitely touch on your question as well.
That's a good question. I don't know. I think the biggest thing that I struggled with was I've never had a problem with authenticity. Going through what I did with multiple sclerosis and hitting rock bottom, being a vegetable in a bed and not being able to care for myself at all, bless my husband's heart. I really lost all shame and was fine just talking about these things in a matter of a fact way. So I think the biggest thing then is that setting healthy boundaries, because as you network and you continue to build your network, it's important to establish those healthy boundaries with not necessarily expectations on every contact that you connect with, but understanding that, we're all humans, we're all professionals, and we all have strengths and weaknesses. Nobody's perfect, and it's impossible to compare, whether that's in your chronic illness or your wellness path and journey or your content strategy. I've never gone viral. I mean, I'm the only person with like 80,000 plus followers that has never gone viral. And that's okay with me because no matter what, the people who do engage, the people who do resonate, they are still people and they're my people. Like these are the people that I love and they've welcomed me into their hearts. So I think that's the most important thing. Don't fall into the numbers game. Understand that everybody is dealing with their own things. Everybody's on an equal playing field and it's tricky, but there is so much hope out there. Your career is there and people are looking for you. The only thing is if you're not making noise, if you're not getting noticed on LinkedIn, you're not going to get found, unfortunately.
I love it. Yeah, I talk so much about how job search is sales, right? You got to know what your pitch is in 60 seconds. You got to have a hook. You need to know how you're going to help the customer. In this case, it's the company. And on top of all that, marketing, top of funnel is everything. And your LinkedIn, that's your top of funnel. That's where you get your leads from. That's where you get your prospects. I'll go way too deep on the sales metaphor, but the point is you got to have a top of funnel. And it's got to be something fun and authentic that you love. You know, Chantel, if you look at some of her posts and videos, one of the last ones is about getting stuck in quicksand with her son. Like, it's just a silly thing that she got herself, like, not silly, kind of scary maybe, but you were laughing. I don't know. But share those things, build your own audience, make some haters. That's one of Chantel's 20 tips is like, if you're not saying some stuff that some people are like, well, I'm not sure if I agree with that, then you're not saying stuff that's interesting. So play around with that. So let's give Tanya the last question here. Tanya said, what kind of cadence do you recommend? And I love this part, especially for those who are job searching and might not be able to maintain this cadence after securing employment. So what kind of cadence do you recommend during the job search? And then once folks get a job, what should their approach to LinkedIn be then?
Well, so the question, if I can word it a little differently, is that there's a professional and personal balance that you want to maintain that can last your whole life with you. But the thing is that personal brands evolve and you are a totally different person than you were 5 years ago. And you're going to be a different person in another 5 years. So it's important to understand those foundations of your personal brand, your voice, your values, what makes you unique. Because to your core, you have differentiators that you've had since you were a child, since your upbringing, that you probably aren't quite aware of yet, unless you do some deeper reflection, which I do have a couple things I could send your way. But those underlying values and those topics that really motivate you, that you are extremely passionate about, those are the things that can carry you through. Those are the things that no matter what changes in your life, they will always hold steady. So it differs for everybody. My favorites right now are neuroscience and quantum physics, which not everybody can connect with. And how does that relate to marketing? Well, it relates a lot, and I will make those connections. But making those connections in your own life with those core pieces and where you are at today versus where you were 5 years ago, or even where you were 5 years ago, because that's still a lesson and a story that you can share. These are all things that you can connect and continue to drive you forward. Does that make sense? I feel like that was a very vague, like political answer. I don't know.
Tanya, are you on here? Where are you? Yeah. Do you want to clarify that at all, or is that good for you? No, that's good. All right. Awesome. Chantel, well, thank you so much. So you dropped your LinkedIn there. Everyone should definitely connect and follow. And I will, of course, share this out with everybody afterwards. So muted round of applause for Chantel. Thank you so much for joining. Chantel, now I need you to applaud everyone else here for joining, because it is so awesome that you guys are all there. Azar, I like the clap. Epic. Mary with the party hat. Love it. But the party is not over. We actually have what I think is the most important part of this whole thing. We're going to now network with each other. You're going to make some new friends, and we're going to apply everything we just talked about to each other. So I'm going to divide out some breakout rooms. And what I want is for everyone to go around and in 30 seconds, let people know what it is you're looking for, what kind of job, what kind of connections. 30 seconds, super short. And then the second 30 seconds is what you think your next LinkedIn post or video should be. Right? 30 seconds, who am I? 30 seconds, I was thinking my next post should look like this. I'm going to talk about this. And then everyone take a moment and give some feedback. Ask a question. Say, interesting. I'd like to know this in your talk or whatever. So let's make this helpful. Let's make this beneficial. Chantel, you're going to be in one of the groups, and I'm going to pull you out halfway through and drop you to the other, and we'll switch. All right. All right. So the rooms are now opened. You guys should see a button on there to join a breakout room. So you can click that and disappear into there and hang out. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Congratulations, Chantel.